Hello and welcome to the Arsenal Bite Size Podcast. I'm your host, Clayton, and it's an international break, so I thought what better to do than send our fan base into World War III by doing a podcast on opportunistic selling and who we should cash in on while value is high by convincing Uncle Mike that we should sell Bukayo Saka. Uncle Mike, how are you?
We're not selling Bukayo Saka. If you mention him, I'm ending the stream. I'm good, mate. I'm good. It should be a good one, this one. Should be an interesting one.
For anyone watching live, it's what's the date today? Friday the 14th. It's like I say, international break, 5 p.m. UK time, and bless you, Uncle Mike's been doing night shifts, so you literally just woken up. So nothing to get the grey matter going quite like this.
And there's enough grey matter. There's enough grey hair.
I did say on the last pod that I've got like an unpopular name that I'm not saying I want to sell, but like if the question is you're forced to raise X amount of money, who would you do it? I've got that name. Do you believe it is Saka in my head?
No, we've worked it out. The group chat boys have worked it out.
Is Bobby in your group chat?
No.
Okay.
No,
all right.
No, Sarge, Martin, Dave, Dom, Jamie.
Who I won't respond yet, but who do you think it is?
They've all gone Saliba for you.
I'm not very good at poker, am I?
No. There's a bit of an agenda going on. So I've noticed the vibe over the last few weeks.
Yeah,
so,
he's overrated, mate.
Spot on. Yeah. Selling.
I'm only joking. He is the player, though. Yeah, I will explain. But
yeah. It's a very interesting one because we're not saying we want to sell these players. It's more about opportunistic selling, and we've been so bad, and as we're going to get onto on that table, we have to simply be better, but we have to also caveat that with, I don't want to be selling players. It's with the sort of what you're bringing in next and the next level that we're going to. That's what I'm thinking. It's we've for too long we've held on to players in the past, and there's a few names on that list that we thought, okay, another season. It's that sort of opportunistic sale at peak value rather than tanking the sale, and you're getting a nominal fee where you see other clubs getting large fees. So
and that's it. I mean, you've nailed it. Like I literally wrote down, like I was going to ask you, what do you think opportunistic selling is? Like, because you hear it and it's like, what the fuck does that mean? It almost feels like corporate jargon, but I think you've hit the nail on the head, right? And you look on that list. So obviously this is slightly dated because on the image on screen it says Eddie and Nketiah rumored, but he obviously went to Palace. But like our highest sale is still Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain from whatever year that was when he went to Liverpool. And like, I am not going to say you hear people say, and I think I've said this, like we need to sell because you can't keep spending the money we are. Like I don't know what our revenues are like. I don't know what our profits and losses are like. Like some people say we don't need to sell. Some people do. I just thought this would be a good laugh, some fun, like just to kind of see where you're at, because I do think you've seen people like Liverpool sell Coutinho and fund Alisson, Van Dijk. You've seen them sell Luis Diaz in the summer for, what was it, 70 to 90 million euros? Like, that's cashing in when someone's value is high. Like, clubs like Brighton have done it. I know we're a different model to Brighton, but like, how many times are we like, fucking hell? Like, they sold Caicedo 100 mil. My mind's gone blank on some of the others, but like, even people like them.
Even like, it's City. City have got the model, aren't they? I mean, you can't, I think Chelsea are just a trading hub for players, so I'm not really using them as I've got Chelsea mates that celebrate. They send screenshots of players that, this player's valued at 100 million now, and I'm like, mate, what, you're not there to. They're so their mind's gone completely the other way, where they just want to make money. Whereas City, you use City's youth setup as the example, where they've had a fantastic academy, and they're selling players like Cole Palmer. And I just want to touch on that. If you look at that list there, how many of them are homegrown young Hale Enders?
Yeah, you've got Eddie in there, Smith Rowe, Iwobi, Willock. Does Bellingham count as homegrown? But like,
I mean, if you count, I'd almost. I mean, Fabregas, yes, I'd count that as a 16-year-old, and then the other two, I'd count Anelka as in that sort of batch and also I'd probably include Van Persie in that as a very, very young player that's come and then you've gone on to sell him. The only one there was, I suppose, is the Sanchez one, which ended up being a terrible swap deal. But yeah, and that's why I've got a couple of names. But yeah,
okay. Well, we'll get there. I think, yeah, just to add to what you said, my thing is, I look at someone like Martinelli. You remember that year where I can't remember the stats, but like he was bagging them in for fun, right? I look at him and I think at one point in time over the last few years, could we have sold him for 60 to 80 mil and reinvested to replace a profile that could have still added the quality that he brings to the team? And it's not about, I think we need to get rid of him, I think he's a bad player. I think I'm just looking at him as an asset in the squad and what he brought. And at one point in time, was his value at a certain level, which it isn't now? Because if I had to ask you the question now, if we were to sell Martinelli, how much do you think we'd get? What would you say? You're on mute.
I totally agree with what you were saying about the Martinelli is a good example, because wasn't it 15 goals he scored in the season and a large number of assists as well. That's what we're talking about, peak value. And that's the smart sale, is you've achieved what you've got out of him. And it's a fine call, isn't it, between when you sell a player, you never want that player to go on and really smash it somewhere else. Yes, if he's... So for the Martinelli one, if you were talking now, I'd probably take 30, 40 million for him now. And in the summer, you would do 30 million. If we take an offer for 30 million, I think most of the fan base would go, yeah, that's fair, because we're basing that on the last season injury, whatever, and he wasn't doing what we'd hoped he would reach. Now, if you carry on with the Martinelli Super Sub Champions League game suit him and he's smashing it against Spanish teams, I could see that going to a 50, 60 million by the end of the season. And that's the sort of sale that I then think you can cash in on. And the same with Trossard. And so it's not us saying we think the players are shit, we want them to go. Of course, we loved it. I think it's for the first time this group of players, there's no dud in there.
There's no bums. Yeah.
There's no bums. There's no arseholes. So, yeah, I love all of the players. But so you have to be ruthless enough to, as long as, and look, we're not the board of Arsenal. And the sort of the caveat to that is you can sell players, but you can also then get a load of money in and do a Spurs and
exactly
wank it. So it's all about, yes, you can get the money in, and we don't know that side of it. So we are sort of playing this game to generate a pot with trusting that Berta and the board will go on to reinvest it into players that will make us a better side. So we're sort of like, what opportunity? We're not worrying about who we're signing to replace. That's not the game today. This is just about who we would sell at a good peak.
Yeah, it's just from the perspective of, hypothetically, we need to raise funds in order to continue our evolution of building one of the best squads in the world. And gun to your head kind of vibes, what would you do? So like, I want to split it into tiers, right? There's like 3 tiers. You've got your people that are probably worth 80 million plus in the squad, and then you've got your Trossards, your Martinellis that maybe in that 30 to 60 million range.
Mate, we got Waitrose, we got Tesco, and we got Aldi.
So let's go Waitrose first. Who do you believe are the players in the squad that could fetch a transfer fee of 80 million plus?
If I'll start at the back and I'll go through that way. I believe both centre halves could easily reach 80 million. I've seen Mickey van der Ven touted as a £100 million player this week.
Mate, can I just say, I know this is a tangent. That Christian Romero, I honestly think is one of the most overrated defenders in the world of football. Like, who did they play? Man United on the weekend, right? And this is, you know how I watch football. I'm fucking nerdy, so I watch positions. I don't watch the ball. This guy is a fucking clown. He gets dragged all over the pitch, but no one. I
saw the compilation.
No one. Oh, is it? Is there a comp?
Yeah,
focuses on it because like it never leads to a goal. But he's a fucking
Argentinian Mustafi, that geezer. That's all he is.
Honestly, he is. He really is. But anyway,
won the World Cup, but then they think our World Cup winner in front of him is absolutely dog shit. And Van der Ven, all he's got is pace, and now he's scored a couple of goals. He's touted as 100 million. So if we're going off of that, which that's nonsense. That's not buying one. That's not buying one of Saliba's legs. But I think both of them definitely over 80 million. I would put Rice in that category. Then I'm going. I was going to say Ødegaard. Okay.
I know. I think I know what you mean. I don't know what category he falls in. Is he 60 or 80?
Yeah, you're right. Probably between 60 and 80. And then you go in Saka.
For the sake of the conversation, don't include Ødegaard. So we'll go. Okay. We've got the two centre backs, Rice, Saka. Yeah. Anyone else?
No.
Okay. Next question.
I think that's it.
Gun to your head. For the sake of this game, we have to sell one and only one, because it helps us fucking bag Vinicius Jr. next summer. Who are you selling and why?
If it's we've only got 4 players there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what? I would have to go Saliba. I'm going to jump into bed with you. And then only.
I never thought you'd say that sentence. I've been waiting for it.
No, because when you look at it like that, you've got those 4, yeah, and that's the realistic 4. We can't. Well, there's no point playing this game and trumping up the transfer values just to suit our narratives or agendas. They are the realistic 4 that you could get the 80 million.
Should I explain why I landed on him? Because like you are right, maybe it's come across like an agenda. Like what did your boys say about the agenda? Because I don't disagree. I probably have been a bit.
It was the Mosquera factor.
See, can I just do my brain dump now?
Yeah, go, man, go.
I'm not as high on Mosquera as everyone else is as well. Like I think no, as in hear me out. I think he'll be very good, but I think people are like, yeah, we can sell Saliba because we got Mosquera. I'm not there because of that. I think Mosquera's got a lot of developing to do. He's still very young. Like I think he'll be very good, and like we've seen it with Gabriel, right? Like when Gabriel came in, I didn't think he'd transform into one of the best centre backs in the world. So my thing isn't, I don't think Mosquera will be one of the best centre backs in the world. It's specifically about what Saliba has and doesn't have, in my opinion. So like I look at those 4 players, right? And again, it isn't I would sell Saliba. It's from the lens of if we were forced to raise 80 to 100 million, who would it be? I agreed. I think it's only those 4 that would recoup those fees. And I look at those 4, and what do I talk about all the time? It's not a player as a holistic thing. It's what are their traits? And I look at the traits of those players. Okay, let's take it a step higher. All 4 of those players in their position are one of the best in the world. I don't believe there are people that can come in and give us close to similar traits of what Declan Rice does. I believe while he's one of the best players in the world, there are traits that are unique to him as well. Same with Saka. Same with Gabriel. Saliba, I think there are traits within his game that you can reprofile. I think you can get someone else in who is as fast, as dual dominant, and I think better on the ball. Like, I'm not saying Saliba's bad on the ball. I just don't think his technique is as clean as other people in the side. Like, again, I think when you have these conversations, it will come across like you have an agenda on a player. It's just out of those 4, I think there are things in his game that are more replaceable than the others within that position purely. So like another thing he does a lot, the ball will come in the air, he'll let it bounce, which you never do. I think you can find a defender that is aerially and physically dominant. I think he does have lapses in concentration. And again, it's within the context of if we were forced to sell one, Real Madrid are sniffing, PSG, Marquinhos, how old is he? Like, if there's 100 million offer in, I don't think a centre-back's ever gone for 100 mil, have they? Van Dijk's the most, 75?
Yeah. I think I do agree. 75 is what I think was Harry Maguire was a little bit more than that as well, wasn't he?
Who was that? I lost you.
Harry Maguire.
Oh, fuck me. I forgot about him. He was 80, wasn't he?
Yeah. So, but I agree, because if you break it down like that, it's how much is it then going to cost you to replace that player?
Nowhere near as much.
So if we sold Saka, you're spending more than that to replace what you've got in that player. And I agree, the same with Rice. I don't think there is a profile of Rice out there that's, never mind buying a player that's better than Rice. I think he's a unique player that just fits how we play. So I don't think you could spend any amount of money that would give you part of what he does, but not every single facet. You could get Caicedo, who's he would cost you more than that, but he still can't do things that Declan Rice can do. Same with Gabriel, and I agree that there is that potential to upgrade on that, or not upgrade on that side, but certainly cash in on that side and get Ewan Timber's brother.
He's a midfielder.
I was a midfielder. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what I mean. You can get.
I know what you mean.
There's enough players. There's enough players out there that I think you could pick up with Berteri at the helm for a 50, 60 mil. If you had to spend that, I think you could buy half the price, spend half the amount that you could cash in, and if you would still have teething problems, he's not going to come in to be exactly like that Saliba that we've got. But I don't think the difference is enough. I think you could find a very, very, very reliable replacement that in a couple of years could get you that, but you're flipping that money. That's why I would go for him.
And where I'm hesitant on it is like you don't want to disrupt partnerships, right? Like these guys are going to be remembered. Gabriel Saliba is going to be remembered like in your Terry's, Ferdinands, Vidic, all of that stuff, like as the Premier League greats. But again, it's within the context of this game we're playing. Like you hit the nail on the head. A Saka Rice replacement will cost a fuck ton of money. I think there are many defenders out there that are pacey, read the game well, physically strong, composed and calm on the ball. That key point can be coached and improved. Like you're not buying a player and they're never going to improve again. Every player, I'd say Declan Rice has improved as a 100 million player under his coaching under Arteta. So like that's the position where, and I guess this is maybe the unpopular thing of like, if finances are an issue, where I said I would almost go out and fish for offers, if you are going to get £100 million offer for a centre-back, which has never been done before, I would do it, if I'm being totally honest. In the summer, when we won the quad, I would do it because I do believe that is a profile that can be replaced. And without sounding like the kind of agenda thing, he's got more weaknesses and development points in his game than the others, in my opinion, that people tend to gloss over. I think because he's built up so much credit in the bank from when he started, that like he's the kind of cult hero. He fucking loves the club. But like, if I'm being emotionless about it, I believe it's a profile we could replace and not have the most detrimental impact. Now, Gabriel is one. I almost think if we sold him, we'd feel it a little bit more. And there's kind of intangibles there I can't really explain in terms of his leadership feeling within the group, how like he's kind of, well, he's an interesting one. He's probably 28, 29, right? So like, is that one where if we're talking about the game, when is their value at their highest? Is his value going to be the highest it ever is? Whereas Saliba's a lot younger. So yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree. That's a, it's that partnership is such a great point because you'd almost be mad to break it up. Let's just say I'm basing this on us winning stuff this year. And, but then that might even be the difference. Say if you didn't win stuff, you may have to be forced into a sale. Whereas if you win big stuff, then the financial rewards come along with that. But we're just playing this as a game. I do agree, you don't want to break a partnership up at the start of, it could be a dominant partnership for the next three years. And that we know how Arteta's game is. It is based on the back. So when you look at it like that, it's almost madness to consider, can you play the game where you sell 3 30 million pound players and you don't have to sell your Saliba to break up that
we'll get there, yeah. I do want to touch on that, yeah.
So I think there is a bit of that, whereas I'd be very, you're very reluctant to break up a very successful partnership. But I do agree. You look at like Højsund at Bournemouth last year, came in one season, went to Real Madrid for 50 million, and they picked him up. Brighton and Bournemouth, so they're picking up Palace, they're picking up very decent centre halves.
Who was the Bournemouth defender that went to PSG? 70 mil or something. I forgot his name now, but same thing, like you're saying. There are good players out there. That, like, I think, and it's kind of what I've said to you before, like, I believe the value in the game now is in the forward areas where like the game is so structured. I almost think defenders are easier to find because the game is so played in front of you and it's all about structure rather than individual brilliance. I'm not saying these people aren't individually brilliant, but the individual brilliance is worth more in the final third nowadays, where you like, and I've seen a few people say they would cash in on Saka because of Nwaneri, Dowman. I want to squash that, and Madueke. What Saka does is irreplaceable. As much as I'm someone that preaches no one player in the world is that unique where you can't find something else, I don't think we'd find someone that does anything close to what Saka does. Madueke impressed, but this guy, his value in what he provides in the final third is something that money can't replace that. Whereas I believe in the earlier thirds, in the defensive line, you can find replaceable things. I'm conscious of time, and I do want to move it on. So is there anything you want to touch on with that kind of conversation before I move on to the next one?
Good goal.
Mr. Captain. So I've seen a few people say they'd be open to selling him. We were talking about, is he in that 80 to 100 mil bracket or the 61? Where's your head at with him in terms of, would you entertain offers? Again, within the context of the game, let's say we had to raise a certain amount of money. Where do you think he is at in terms of his journey and where his value is versus maybe where it was and where it could be in a couple of seasons?
I think it's tanked in the last season and a half, and that we know there's context behind that. Injuries, had a really bad, an off season last season. He would certainly be someone I'd consider on my list. I think if we got an offer for 60 million for him, I'd take it. Because I think you can replace
60 mil.
Yeah, 60 mil. I think you can replace him. I think you've probably got players already in the squad that could replace or certainly do a job. Now, not to that level, and we, I when we are at our best, Ødegaard is on form, and he plays it. There's us. I'm sort of looking at this and is there another profile in that team or in the team or that you can buy that can produce similar outputs? That's the question, because do
you think there is?
No, maybe you'd still have to pay. You'd probably. I mean, if you got Elanga's going not to a different position, but you've got these sort of players are going for £55 million now, and if you're selling Martin Ødegaard for 60, you're going to have to spend more than that to replace that. But I think that player could then be on the next level, a younger player, different. It brings different things to that, because we have evolved as a side, and we are playing different football than 3-4 years ago. So I think a different profile may well be a different way that Arteta could go. If you did want to cash in on Ødegaard.
So this is where, sorry, I was coughing up a lung there. This is where I feel like I'm in the minority. I would put him close to the untouchable category. Not in the sense of let me explain. I look at someone like Bernardo Silva over the years at Man City, who's done different roles, and at some point he's been an effective right winger. At some point he's been like very minimalistically, but like a conventional 10. He'll drop around all the phases. I agree his value has tanked, Ødegaard. But us at our best has him at the heart of the team, in my opinion. And he is someone that I think has irreplaceable traits. I don't think there's many players in the world of football that can press like he does and manipulate a football across the whole pitch and control the heart and tempo of a team like him. And I don't think we would get 80 mil for him. I think so. Like Chris is in the chat. Evening, mate. He said he wouldn't take 60 million for Ødegaard. It has to be 80 million, surely. And this is what I agree. I wouldn't take 60 million for him, but I don't think we'd get 80. And as a result, I think his value of what he brings to the team is irreplaceable, because I think I almost see his role within the squad changing, where he doesn't become a single point of failure, but it's like horses for courses. There's some games where you want him high volume of touches, controlling the game, slowing it down. There's games where we might want an Eze where it's like we're going to go direct and fucking murder them through the heart of their team, even though we're not seeing that at the minute. But Ødegaard for me is someone that I understand why people are talking about it, but I think in the absence of his game time at the minute, we're going to see his stock rising. And when he comes in, I think he's going to be central to the attack clicking, because like, we brought in loads of attacking profiles, right? I think he's going to be the glue that knits it all together. I think we're going to see the best of him in the second half of the season, to the point where I think his value will actually go up. And maybe we're then having a conversation of putting him in that first group we spoke about. And it's like, look, if someone comes in with a stupid bid, sure, he is the one you take. But like where I think there's traits within a Saliba's game you can replace, there's traits within an Ødegaard. I look around the world of football and I struggle, because like Nwaneri, I think is the name people look at, and I think they're completely different players. Dowman is the one that I could almost see being the closest in terms of I could see him developing into a high volume touch player that manipulates the ball, is smart up there in the head, but he's so young to be able to tell. So I'm a lot higher on Ødegaard than I think our fan base seems to be. But that's kind of where my head is at. The next category, you said it. I'll give you your chance. Hale End. I don't know what the question is. I just know you mentioned Hale End, so I'll let you lead with that. Where you said you had something.
I've been thinking a lot about Nwaneri. Is that someone that you can cash in on? We've spoken about it on the pod, that his lack of minutes this season. Is there something behind the scenes that we're not seeing? Is there something's changed within the trust between him and Arteta? I can't put a figure on it, but there's something that doesn't quite sit right. And the City example is what I was thinking about, is selling. You're not going to get, I mean, okay, would you sell Nwaneri?
I need more context. But yeah, I would.
This is the thing. No, I'm not selling him for 25 million.
No.
Right? But if you could get a 45 with add-ons or whatever, 45, 50, then I'd take that, you know.
Let me ask you a question to kind of gauge where my head is at. Out of Miles Lewis-Skelly, Max Dowman, Ethan Nwaneri, who do you think could go on to be £100 million players in their career?
I was going to say Skelly.
So for what it's worth, I know this is so hard to tell right now. Like, Miles Lewis-Skelly and Max Dowman have higher ceilings than Ethan Nwaneri, in my opinion. I think Nwaneri is going to be a fantastic player, and like, I don't want to dismiss what he's done, because like what he's done at this age is absolutely outrageous. He's got one of the best shots. I think he could be a final third monster. I think he'll go on to be a very good player. I think Miles could be one of the best in the world at what he does in terms of driving through the center of the field. I think Max Dowman is going to be in Ballon d'Or conversations when he's in his 20, like Saka age sort of thing. I don't think Ethan Nwaneri is going to hit those heights, in my opinion. And it's not to say I don't think he'll be good. I think he'll be one of the best players in England. I think he'll be an England international, but there's a different level with the other two, in my opinion. I think they could go to. So
that's what I think is, and Christopher's just said that it's about the talent, and you've got to cash in. Sometimes that's not our model. We love our youngsters, we love them, and I think we then pin too many dreams and expectations on them, and then we think that they're going to be the next big thing. Play them for a season too long. Don't end up falling out of not trusting them and not performing at the level that we want. The value is then tanked, and that's why Joe Willock is a good example.
He was a very good sell.
Because I've got Martin, my mate Martin, was adamant at the time that we should never sell Joe Willock.
Because is Martin going to listen to this? Are you calling him out?
I'm going to clip it up and say he because he'd scored 7 in 7, and he was like, and at the time, remember the team at the time, we didn't have many, and I don't give the team its dues, we didn't have many big players like Joe Willock at Arsenal who were doing scoring goals from midfield. And that was that was we needed that in our team at that time. And his point was bring him back, and he can do that for us. And my point was, he would never ever be as hot at that point. 7 goals in 7 games, cash in. You just got to be ruthless like that. And I think that was the right sale. It was a very, very good sale.
Agree.
And I'm talking more like that with the Nwaneri is if someone offered, like Cole Palmer, right?
What did he go for? Can you remember?
About 45 million.
What do you think would be a good valuation for Nwaneri? What fee would you get where
about
you think
45, I think is a fair, you've got
Miles and Dowman. I know Dowman feels a bit stupid to include in the mix.
Yeah, I don't even we can't even leave Dowman out of the conversation because he's not even signed for pro form.
Yeah,
but I think if you're looking Miles? At I mean, didn't Livermento's been,
he was a 50 mil fullback.
Yeah, he was touted at that. Lewis Hall went from Chelsea.
I would, if we got an offer for 60 mil for Lewis-Skelly, I would almost be like, I think would consist. Last season when he was playing, ripping shit up at the Bernabeu, I'm thinking of him as in that category of like, when we spoke about the others, could they be 80 to 100 mil players? This may sound stupid, but that's how highly I rate him. I think he is a potential unicorn in terms of what he does. And maybe we'll talk about this another pod, but I'm not concerned about his game time like everyone else is. I think what he did last year was freakish, and he's just coming back to reality.
He's way ahead. Yeah, he's way ahead of his schedule. So let him be. It's a learning game and whatever. But I think he would almost, if someone offered a 60 million for Skelly now, there's no way I'm taking that. But I would take close to that for about 38, 40 for Nwaneri.
Me too. And don't get me wrong, I would consider the Lewis-Skelly 60 mil, but I just think his profile and traits, as I keep saying, is so unique. Whereas I think Nwaneri does things that, I mean, he's quite unique in how he shoots, to be fair. Like, there's not many sharp shooters around like him. But yeah, I would take 40, 45 for Nwaneri. I think that's one where he'll go on to have a good career, but will he ever be £100 million player? I'm not convinced. Whereas Miles Dowman, I think they really could, in my opinion. Charles is in saying he definitely would say that we have fans, that we as fans have to be prepared for some heartbreaking divorce. But the alimony, what the fuck does that mean? That's a big word. Will be huge. For example, Saliba to Real Madrid, Martinelli, Gabriel to Saudi. I don't think Martinelli will be heartbreaking, but yeah, I agree. I'm not as clued up on our financials, so like, I'm doing this from the perspective of I've seen Liverpool have to sell a Coutinho, optimally sell a Diaz, and I'm wondering, look, just based on how much we've spent, is there going to be a need for us to recoup some fees in the summer? So it's just a bit of a fun game, but anything more on the Hale End boys?
And then you're sort of you're looking at the next, you've got the next level down, who are the ones that are breaking through. Now,
do you mean Hale End?
Yeah, who's the striker, the young striker we've had? Is that
in the name of Borat Anus?
Yeah, now if he got a few more appearances this season, I mean, that's what when you see it's the likes of Ruben Brewster that went from Liverpool. Or Ryan Brewster, it was Ryan Brewster.
It was Brewster, went to Sheffield United for like
25 million pounds. That's the sales that I think we need to be doing. And when you've got a team that's finishing 8th and then 6th, and you're trying to knock off fringe players, no one's interested. So if you've got a team that's now 3 years in a row, second, quarterfinals Champions League, semi-finals Champions League, hopefully win big stuff this year, I hope that can filter out to a few more of those Aldi players that we are sort of looking at, that you can pick up those sort of, sell them for 10, 15 mils, and that's where suddenly you're looking at the net spend. That's what boosts that net spend up. Like Liverpool selling Harvey Elliott for 40. Was he not? He was sold, wasn't he? Was on loan?
I think so. I'm not sure, but you're right. Like that type of player, they're very good at selling. And mate, it's like you're fucking. I've got some notes behind the screen, right, to help me just kind of guide the conversation. It's like you're reading my mind. Next topic was exactly those sort of players. You're like your Ben Whites, your Trossards, your Martinellis. I mean, Poem subs in the chat saying Martinelli stocks are high. If there's a 65 million offer, take it. Even a 50, I don't think we'd get anything near that. I don't think his stocks are high, in my opinion.
I think the performances since the summer, I think they have raised, they have gone up, they have risen. I think he was a 30 million pound player in the summer. I think it could be 40, 45 in January, purely because you can see the difference in him and his output has changed. So
got a good got a good comment in from Charles. He said many content creators overlook this, but Arsenal is fine under the FA PSR rules, but we're severely on the amber yellow on UEFA FFP rules. The squad is bloated by wages and need to cut. So yeah, I mean that's the feeling I had, to be fair, which is kind of why we're having this conversation. But sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, Ben White is definite. I think he's done, unfortunately.
How his stock isn't high though.
No, I know that's the problem.
Yeah,
that's the problem. I mean, how much do you think you could get? In my head, I'm thinking like in the perfect world. Oh yeah, Ben White 50 million. I don't think. 50 million for Ben White. I think you might struggle to get 25 million for Ben White, which is crazy when you got, who was it? Not Konzo, it was
Kwanzaa went to Leverkusen.
Now that's a dodgy deal there, mate. That's definitely dodgy deals. There's inflation on. Oh well, we're selling for put 50 million on his thing, and we'll put it. So there's. I think if you got 30 million for Ben White, would you take it? Or is a Ben White? If it's a Ben White at his age with his experience,
how old is he?
He's about 27, 28 now, mate.
So if there was
you keep him around if the offer's not good enough,
I'll say this. I don't see Ben White's value going up towards anything more than 50 million more likely than I see it going further down, because I think he's at a point where injuries he could become a Tomiyasu. As much as I love him.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question, yes, in the summer, I would take 30 million for Ben White. But I hate this I'm trying to be emotionless, but I feel emotional about him because he was a fucking warrior for us, played through so many injuries, has run himself into the ground for us. But I just think if he can stay fit for the rest of the season, contribute, share the load with Timber, I think we could maybe get the 25 to 35 for him. I heard Clive mention his name on a pod saying like Man United, like it makes a lot of sense, right?
I heard that, and that's what you think. Yeah, why there will be teams out there that even at Newcastle, but then I would hate to see him at Newcastle or at United. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, and Poem Sub says it as well. Like Ben won't ever be a 50 million again. Exactly, a Tomiyasu. Always nice to have confirmation bias. Ronald's in. Alamate, he says White is 28, 30 million for White is good. 2 injury prone. Agree, and like that's someone where we've got Mosquera there that can cover there. Timber's amazing. We've got a fetish for defenders. We probably would find a gem because Mosquera can play there, but he's not a right back. I do think if we sold Ben White for 30 mil with how good Timber is, we probably would look at a Mosquera project that is a specific specialist right back. Ronald's also confirmed Harvey Elliott is 35 mil obligation to buy. And guys, like this is a great conversation. If you're liking it, there's loads of you in the chat, probably one of the busiest we've had. So like drop the stream a like if you're enjoying it. Obviously, if it's your first time around here, if you're new and liking the vibe, subscribe to the channel, share it with your Arsenal mates. But yeah, Ben White is someone in that category. Ronald says 30 million for White, 40 million for Man United. Yeah, there's a lot of players like that, right? So like who else did I put in? Audi feels harsh, like, but who did we put in that kind of third tier? We put Trossard in there, Martinelli. Yeah, Trossard. What? Before we go into the individual discussions, is there anyone else you can think of? So like Trossard, White, Martinelli. Anyone else you can think of? Like Chris said it earlier, I can't find
Havertz.
Oh, really?
Why not? I love Havertz. I love Havertz, man. Havertz is my guy. But if you got a decent offer for Havertz, why not? If he has it's World Cup year. World Cup year.
Category of player though, like the
I think he's one down. I think if you got an offer for 70 million for say Bayern Munich, Harry Kane's goes off to Barcelona. Bayern Munich offer 70, 80 million for Havertz. Take him home. Why not?
He is one of them players as well, Havertz, where despite how he divides opinion, I think for some reason he'll always seek a good transfer fee. I think he's got, but I think he's so highly rated within the world of football. So yeah, mate, that's a fucking cracking shout. Actually, I love him as well, but could he?
We can't put players in like Saliba and then not put Havertz in.
Yeah,
who could equally erase a World Cup year? You know, say he bangs it in the World Cup, he could go for 70 easy. But the only problem is there's only a certain amount of clubs now. If we've been realistic, there's only a certain amount of clubs that could take these players.
Mate, sorry to interrupt again. Poem sub. I agree. Havertz, why not? But let's be honest, 50 million, take it. No way.
No.
Not a chance. 50 mil. Sorry.
Gokaresh.
Merino.
Chucking them all in there. Why not? Well, Merino's got to have a value.
Let's do them let's do them one by one, kind of 30 seconds to a minute each on where your head is at. So go on, Havertz, or do you feel like you kind of said your piece on it?
Yeah, covered Havertz.
I'll say my piece. I agree. I think he is someone that I think is one of the most unique profiles in world football, but I think could almost be perceived as a little bit of a luxury as we evolve. And I think we could just replace him with a fucking quality midfielder or a quality centre forward should one arise on the market. So that's Havertz. Who else did we done? White? Did we do Martinelli?
Yeah, Martinelli. Trossard, clutch player.
So Chris has said it. Yeah. Trossard is one of those who offers a lot to the team, clutch goals and assists, but doesn't have much sale value and isn't on high wages either. But at the same time, how do you want to keep him around forever? Because I think we could get 30 to 40 mil for him in the summer.
Yeah, I do.
And how old is he? He must be 29, 30.
Yeah. I think if you get 40 mil for Trossard, I'd sell.
How much? Sorry, I lost you.
40 mil for Trossard, I'd sell.
Same. But then if he's someone, do you remember last year we were talking about squad hierarchy? And I was like, if Sterling is the 5th, 6th attacker, I don't care. If he's the 3rd, I care. I feel like that with Trossard on a different level.
Yeah.
So like, if we got 40 mil, I would sell because I think we could reinvest and get like someone that could contribute similar to what he does. I wouldn't sell him for 2025, you know. I'd almost just keep him as like a 7th, 8th attacker to kind of contribute here and there.
And that's how I would feel about White. If you're not getting like 30, 40 million for him, then let's say if you're only going to get 20, 25 and he's fit, then I would rather keep him around for his experience. But he's on quite big wages, White. So, and I think he's got a new contract. He's about to sign or needs to sign a new contract. So,
yeah, had a couple of the guys did say, Poem Sub and Chris, can't see who's paying 30, 40 mil for Trossard other than the Saudis, and age not on him, 0 sell value. You can't get 40 mil for him. Yeah, Ronald said 22 million was the offer for Trossard last summer from Turkey. So, like, but I don't know. Maybe if he keeps having a prolific season, you can kind of try and get. Like, I've got this weird feel. I could see him at a Dortmund and then paying 30 mil. Maybe I'm being stupid, but it's a feeling I've got where I could see us recouping the money we paid for him. But maybe I'm being a bit deluded there. I
agree. I think that would be, and that would be a fair enough value for me if you get the money back for him. So I think he'd rip it up in Germany again. He was looked at by Bayern Munich, I believe, as an alternate to Diaz.
Was it?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, no, sorry, I'm talking Trossard.
Yeah, I thought it was Martinelli.
So, no, there was Trossard, and I think he could rip it up over there. Okay, let's talk about Raya.
Before we do, I want to get your opinion on. You mentioned him, but we didn't talk about him, Merino.
Again, depending on the offer.
Chris says if Merino was a bit younger, you'd have clubs lining up for him with his goal scoring record over the past.
I mean, 30 million, no. He's not worth. He's too important to the squad for 30 million. Would someone offer 50 million for him?
For Merino? No way.
Yeah. So then you don't sell him. You keep him.
There's something in how you're perceived as like a brand, and I think like Havertz for some reason gets perceived very well within the world of football. Merino's delivering and performing, but I don't think will ever be packaged as a high value player for some reason. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's a feeling I've got where I can't ever imagine a club. I mean, what the fuck did we pay for him? Was it 40? But I can't see a club ever paying more than like a 20 mil for him, despite what we know his value is, just in the way he's perceived. I can't explain it. It's just kind of feeling I have. Go on, Raya, take it away. Poem Sub says he's like the third best goalkeeper in the world, unless it's 100 mil, no need.
Well, this actually sparks. This was one of the players in my group chat. There was the Untouchables, which is the ones that we've discussed, and Raya came up for an upgrade. It was split, actually.
I said that, didn't I?
Yeah, it was split, and I think it was based off of that spark. You're saying that sparked that, and I agree with Poems Harper there. I think it's. I probably wouldn't sell him. Again, depends on the money. If you were offered 80 million, I think 100's a bit too much.
Mate, let's have it right. Our keeper doesn't have to do much. If we get 80 mil for a keeper, I think we can find someone that is very fucking good on the ball and a good shot stopper and dominates the box. He, as good as he is, agree, third best keeper in the world probably. I don't watch enough of football outside of England to know that. But like Courtois, all of your usuals. I've said it before. As much as he's got his Aston Villa moments, his fucking off the line triple save last weekend, in the Champions League quarterfinals, semi-finals, is he going to be the guy that does a Courtois
or a Donnarumma?
I don't think so. And in 80% of our games, I'm not dismissing what the goalkeeper does, because you have to be so well concentrated and really good on the ball. But I believe there are goalkeepers out there that, again, can be found but coached to fit within what we do. I think our overall structure makes it not easy for the keeper, but it's a role where I think you can find replaceable traits and almost cash in at a high value and then outlay a lot less for not a huge drop off in quality, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I'm slightly. I love Raya, and I think again it's about breaking up units of, you know, we've got a nice back five there, and the harmony and the character he seems to fit in, but whether it all depends on the offer for me.
That's it. It's not saying go out of your way to sell him. Yeah.
No, but I mean, we could. I think there wasn't a Garcia was the one we were linked last season, who was sort of meant to be the next successor, and I think we were trying to get him out of a clause or whatever. And did he go to Barcelona in the end?
He did,
or he's going to go to Barcelona. And then you go, and he was touted for around 50 million. So you'd have to be about 80 for the similar fee to Alisson, then for me to go for it. I am extremely happy with him. I think he is in the top three, certainly the best goalkeeper in the Premiership. But you're right, he's not pulling out, when he's called upon, he's pulling out worldies, but he's not putting out, because he doesn't need to, 15 saves a game like when we had Seaman or Lehman, I suppose.
Because he doesn't need to, you're right.
Because he doesn't need to. So you can find someone that will give you that level or very similar to that level, but it's his whole round game. It's a distribution, and he's so good at crosses.
Yeah.
But I would still like him to be a bit 5 inches taller.
Yeah, and this is the thing, like Poems I'm saying, he's so slept on, like he's peaking at in his 30s as a goalkeeper should. And like, I don't think he's slept on. I think we're just saying like kind of what Poems Hub said earlier, unless it's 100 million, no need. But that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like if an offer came in, I would say for 80 mil, I would take it. Yeah. And it's not because he's slept on. It's it's just because I think, again, why are we having this conversation? Whose values are going to be as high as they ever will be? And it could be proactive to move. And like, Chris has said, Barca signed Garcia for 25 and he could easily be their number one for the next decade or so. So like, as much as Poems Hub says there is a goalkeeping issue as we speak, ask United, there are so many players that exist in the world of football. Like we're fans that there are people whose jobs it is to watch 70 hours of football a week across the continent. And like, you look at what Barcelona picked up with Garcia, and is that I know you're a bit limited on time. Jesus was one who's sorry guys, I can't find. I saw his name popped up in the chat. earlier, I don't think he's one that will recoup a lot of money, but his
10
wages are an issue.
10
right?
mil. Yeah,
Yeah.
10 mil. I'll take it.
I just want one title run in Jesus. I hope we don't sell him in January. I hope because I think he will go next summer. Just like the injuries, the age.
You could see him at West Ham. You could see him at West Ham, Everton, someone like that. 10 mil, get him, and it's the wages. It's the huge wages. So I love Jesus as well, but this is the problem. We love our players, but you've got to be right. You can't keep keeping them on another for another year or another two, because it's one that blocks a player for any potential bringing in. And I agree. I do want to see him in April, causing some carnage,
running rings around.
Yeah.
He's been. It's why, like, I know this is a bit random. I kind of wish Zinchenko was in the squad for this year if we're going to do something. Just because, as annoying as he was and is as a person, it feels like, and his flaws in his game, he was fucking instrumental in us, like, kind of getting to that next level of not being a top 4 team and being the title challenge. So I would have liked to see Zinchenko and Jesus hopefully lifting the title this year. But
I don't think Zinchenko would have ever got enough games.
No, I know.
I know what you mean. Well, we'll send him a replica one. You can buy one in the shop.
Yeah, exactly. I lost my train of thought because I saw a comment in. But yeah, Chris has said, sort of off topic, but with us looking into bringing Maurizio Micheli into a recruitment role from Napoli, maybe the idea is to unearth these gems who could then go on to become high-value players. Yeah, and like I think I saw his name associated with bringing in that Kim defender, Hamsik. Do you remember Napoli were linked with Gabriel before we got him?
Yeah.
Maybe
and that's a sort of I like that from Christopher. That does tie into, you've got Berta, you've got someone like him. With them two at the helm, I could then trust that whoever you're flipping that big sale for, you're going to bring in a gem. So that's why we're sort of doing this. It ties in with that, is that you can get those players in. Like you say, you could get your next goalkeeper or your left back or your right back for 25-30 million, and then you flip that with your big sale. So yeah, it'll be exciting stuff if he comes in.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe we can. I know we got to shoot because of time, but look, I'll do some research, and on the next pod we can do a little segment on him and stuff. But yeah, we'll leave it there unless you've got anything else to add. I think this has been a really good discussion, and one thing is for certain, in my opinion, next summer, I think we will sell a few fringe players and replace them with. I don't think we will ever go back to a squad that's remotely concerning in terms of depth. No. But I think we will look to maybe trim some fat, reinvest here and there, and I have a feeling there may be one big sell next summer.
It's. And let's if you're putting it in, if we're sitting here in June next year and we've won the Champions League and we've won the league or whatever, I think that certainly softens the blow. Yeah, well, it certainly softens the blow.
Does it though, or do you get a perspective of we've just fucking won the double? We're here to dominate forever. But
it depends on the player, doesn't it? Yeah. If you told me right, we're doing that and we're selling someone like an Ødegaard or a Havertz, then I think I wouldn't like at that point then to break up a partnership of the best centre half that we've ever had as a club.
Yeah.
For the sake of 100 million. I don't know. That would then be on my argument. But yeah, I do think that but I also think the days of going and buying 6 players again in the summer, I don't think that's going to happen.
With us?
With us. I think that's more likely to be, we've bedded them in for the next 2 or 3 years to allow us in a position to let's move one big player out, trim some fat, but have the opportunity to buy a big player like your striker as your marquee signing, rather than 250 million on 6 players.
Yeah, I agree. Well said. I think we're going to, unless there's a major gaping hole in the squad that appears over the next 18 months, I think it will be a couple, 2 to 3 windows of like just churn trim the fat, like you say, add in the right supplementing players, get one superstar here, there. I think the striker position will be one to keep an eye on, how depending how Gyökeres does over the next year, what emerges on the market, because I don't think Gyökeres was maybe the desired choice if you could design your ideal striker. I think it was more what the market had to offer. So we'll leave it on this one question. Christopher Tellers says, most untouchable of the lot is Saka. Club would need to be on the brink of bankruptcy for me to even stomach us selling him. He is the one I want to see on to become a massive legend. What fee would you consider selling Bukayo Saka for? And you can say nothing, but like if a £500 million offer, like obviously
200 mil, and then you'd have to consider it. But I if you go back to, I mean, there was always that question that he saw the filming of it, wasn't it? Where the fans, we're talking 3 or 4 years ago, when the fans were outside the Emirates and they said,
"Yeah, would you rather win the league?
Would you rather win the league or sell Saka?" I think if you ask people that now, I think the answers might be slightly different. For some people, he's untouchable for me. But every player, it's fact. Every player does have a price.
Ronald and Poems have said 150 and 170 mil. What's the world record?
I have no idea.
Is it Neymar?
Probably, it's got to be something like that.
For me, it would have to be something like that.
Yeah, if it's then you can't.
Who would even pay that?
That's what I'm saying. No,
PSG.
Yeah, but would he go PSG? I don't know.
I think if there was a world record transfer fee, Arsenal would kind of force him.
Yeah, we're basing on this on. I want Saka to be at this football club for the rest of his career.
Me too.
And statues outside, and naming stands out after him. So, but you'd have to consider it at 150. I'd probably go 170 to 200.
Yeah,
you have to.
Yeah, it would have to be something astronomical. Like I wouldn't even take 100 mil. I wouldn't.
No.
Like it would have to be something where it's like, yeah, that's gonna be an English transfer record that won't get beaten for a few years, sort of thing. It just is it's a freak offer. It would have to be
also depending on what club.
True. Like, yeah. It would only be. I would only entertain it abroad. I wouldn't entertain it.
Yes.
In the country.
Yeah.
All right, lovely stuff. That wasn't so bad. I feel like that was quite good. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah,
mate,
good.
That's a good point. Sorry, I know I keep going on, but Poems Up says, yeah, Wirtz was 130 mil. So yeah, fuck that for a laugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, cheers everyone. This was really enjoyable. It wasn't quite World War III, which I was anticipating, which was always positive. Some good discussions in there. Like I said, I think there was a lot of new faces or names I didn't recognize. So if you were new around here, like the vibe, like the show, drop the stream a like, share it with your mates, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss when we go live. A bit of housekeeping. We are rebranding. I'm going to attempt to do it this weekend and not break the system. So we're going from the Arsenal Bite-Size podcast to the Weekly Canon, because these pods are not bite-size anymore, nor were they ever. But yeah, the logos will change, the channel names will change. But yeah, if you subscribe to the channel, you'll see when we go live and stuff, and I'll update everything on Twitter and stuff. Biggest thing I ask is, yeah, word of mouth. Share it with your Arsenal friends. I think this episode in particular will be like an evergreen one. So yeah, Chris has made a good point. Let's see if we can do a part 2 at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. That'd be really good. Yeah.
Nice one. But yeah, cheers for all your interaction, your comments and stuff. Always makes fun discussing it like that. So yeah, we will be back to preview the big one sometime next week, North London Derby, which I will not be physically at because I'm in fucking Canada. Up the Arsenal.
Come on, you Reds.